Okay, hi everyone, welcome back. In this update, we're going to check out Near Protocol's price chart and see what's happening in the short term, and is there a chance that soon we're going to get some more phases on the upside or not. But before we get into that, real quick, we're going to talk about the long-term scenario first. And in Near, if you are a new viewer, you should know that I'm actually quite optimistic, and I do think off of the lowest slope back in this bull run in 2020, we had a beautiful 5 wave on the upside, and followed by that, we can consider so many different possibilities in here. For example, one scenario suggests this is a correction down in form of ABC into wave W, correction for wave X, and maybe yet another ABC into our wave Y, meaning in this area we can consider generally some sort of a double zigzag structure. The other possibility, I'm not really sure it's like quite realistic, but there is also a scenario suggesting we are having in here, maybe as opposed to a WXY, just a simple ABC zigzag structure. But guess what? Even that scenario suggests we are in Near Protocol quite close to getting to our final low. So again, I'm gonna say this, both of the scenarios do suggest downsides are quite limited, and we do have huge potential on the upside. However, having said that, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna go up in the short term instantly, maybe like 100%. Absolutely not. Okay, I want to be very clear. I'm just trying to tell you this. If fundamental wise you have done your due diligence and you do believe Near is actually a decent project, then okay, I think right around the lows can be a buy the dip opportunity for the mid to long term. Okay, it's very important to understand that, because I do think even if we want to be pessimistic, this can be on a higher degree. 5 up, let's even consider it into an A leg followed by a correction into B, like we said it, a WXY. And in that case, what's going to be next? You know it, in the mid to long term, very important point, we're going to have at least another move up into our C leg, which in it, we can take the highest high technically in here, about $20. But let's not even consider such a move on the upside. Let's even consider like a good move up during the next bull run in order to maybe even get to about this important level around, let's say, 12 to about $14. Even this target is something like a 10x move on the upside from the current point, and I don't know about you guys, from my POV, this is more than enough. Now, having said all this, what's happening in the short term, and can we be optimistic? The answer, I think so. Yes, you see, in like very short term, just like we talked about in the previous video, you do have an argument for calling this move on the upside, hopefully a 1 2 3 4 5 wave impulsive structure. However, having said this, it doesn't necessarily mean that right in here we should open some long positions in Near Protocol. For two reasons, I do like to say we need to be just a bit patient. Reason number one, well, naturally, we haven't completed this 5 wave on the upside, and even when we complete it, question for you, what's going to happen after a 5 wave up? Even if you want to say the low, the final one is already in right in here. You know the answer. We're going to have one way or the other after completing a 5 wave, a bit of a pullback down. And if in this phase we identify a slow and choppy move down, fair enough, it can be a decent buy opportunity. Reason number two for why I think this is right now at least not necessarily a decent buy opportunity actually comes down to classic TA, meaning support and resistances. You see, let's say we are going to get another move up into wave 5. In that case, I'm expecting for the targets of this phase to be somewhere around this region between, let's say, 1.7 to about $2 area. Why is this so important? Because back in here in Near Protocol, this acted as like a major cluster of support areas from weekly and daily time frame at the same time. And what happened the moment that we got a break of it? As you can see from here, our move down got accelerated quite a bit, and let's say we got, yep, as you can see, something very much close to like a 60% move on the downside. So again, it seems like that prior to breaking this level, the price did respect it quite a lot. And I'm willing to argue that this thing right in here, once we get to it, is going to act as a major resistance area. And maybe it is going to send us down a little bit. Hence why I said once more, this right in here is not necessarily a buy opportunity, at least yet. Now, let's even go on some lower time frames, maybe H1, and see what is going on. And if you remember, the last time that we talked about NIR, we were right around this region, and the idea was that, well, okay, if this is going to be into a wave 5, then we can say maybe we are having a 5 wave on the upside. And we said, I'm not sure either from here or here, this can be like a 1, 2, and what's next? Decent move up into wave 3, 4, 5. But that's really the question between these two lows right around this area. Which one is the lowest low? This chart right in here is on Binance, and it seems like that this point is the lowest low. And based on it, okay, fair enough. You can argue maybe we have already completed a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's time for a bit of a pullback down. But again, what's next? You know what? Yet another good move on the upside. Now, here's the deal. This chart, because it's on Binance, we don't really have a whole lot of volume in it, meaning there's a decent chance that when you go on some other charts, you're going to realize that maybe this point is the lowest low. So having said this, let's go on Trading Views chart and see what is going on. Where is it? There we go. And as you can see, no, even in this chart, we are having the lowest low right in here. So I'm going to argue in NIR protocol, yep, we have probably completed the subwaves for an impulsive structure on the upside to about this area, and maybe it is time for a bit of a pullback down. And if this is going to be a slow and choppy move on the downside, meaning timing wise is going to take more time relative to this impulse on the upside, okay, right in here, assuming we identify the correct subwaves, can be a decent long opportunity, and your stop loss can be under the lows about, let's say, $1.1, and let's say you want to open your position somewhere around the $1.25 area. In that case, you are having a 15 cents stop. On the other hand, what's going to be your target? I'm going to argue bare minimum can be around the previous major pivot high in here about, let's say, $1.5, meaning what? You are having a risk to reward ratio of minimum about 1 to very close, I'm going to say, to 2, which is definitely not that bad. But again, please consider this thing as like the bare minimum target. If we are truly having what I'm thinking, meaning this is like a 1, 2, and then like a good move up into wave 3, 4, 5, I'm gonna say probably the target is going to be somewhere around that cluster of now major resistance areas that I showed you earlier, which I believe it was somewhere between 1.7 to about $2 area. And in that case, I think your risk to reward ratio is somewhere between 1 to 4 to about 1 to 6, which is really nice. So again, what you want to see in NIR protocol, I'm gonna say probably in the next maybe 3 to 5 days is a bit of a slow and choppy move on the downside. And in terms of the targets, let's just also real quick use Fibonacci's. As you can see, a decent target can be somewhere between the 61.8% to about the 78% level, basically between 1.2 to about $1.25. If we get a slow and choppy move down in order to have a pullback to this level, I think this can be a decent long opportunity. And I hope I explained everything well and you understood what is going on in here. And until the next update, I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.